Welcome back. In this video we're going to talk about React Router and how we can jump between pages in a single page application. So if we take a look at our app and for example we click on one movie, you can see up here we have the movie ID and we also change page, but we're not reloading the page, we're just changing the link, but it looks like a new page up here. So we somehow want to simulate the link behavior in our single page application. And how do we do that? Well, we do that with React Router and React Router DOM. And React Router is something we already installed when we did the npm install in the beginning. If you go to the package.json file, you can see everything we installed. We installed React, React DOM, React Font Awesome, and the React Router DOM. And this one is the one we're going to use now. And also all the React scripts. I intentionally didn't mention anything about the package.json and the Webpack because I think this is more advanced topics. So therefore I created everything for you so we just could install it and get going. So if you're interested in learning more about this, I suggest you doing some Googling about Webpack and the package.json so you'll see how this works. But I made this for you so we don't have to go through this now. We're just focusing on learning the React basics in this course. So we go back to our app component, the app.js file, and we're going to create a router here. So firstly, we can delete this code here. We're not going to use it. So what do we have to do here? Well, first we can import the necessary libraries we need. We import browser router. We also need the route, and we need something called a switch from React Router DOM, like this. And now we can use them in our component. We start off by creating a browser router, like this. We're going to put everything inside these tags here. And I also said earlier in this course that I'm going to talk a little about what React Fragment is. And React Fragment is something you can use instead of using a wrapper div. A wrapper div will render in the DOM, and sometimes you don't want a wrapper div to render in the DOM. Then you can use React Fragment. Inside the React Fragment tag, react.fragment, like this, you can create your child elements and it will render out all the child elements and it will not create a wrapper div around them. So we could use a div here instead, but I just wanted to show you that you can use fragments if you don't want the wrapper div. So in this case, we'll use React Fragment. This is really all there is to know about React Fragment, and you should just know that you can use it if you don't want a wrapper div instead. So I suggest using it. It's not usually a good idea to create excessive divs that you don't need. So we'll use React Fragment here, and we'll put back our header that we had before, like this. And then we create something called a switch. And inside the switch, you can specify different routes and decide what component will render when you're at a different path in your URL. So first, we have a route that is going to be the root URL, like this. We want to show our home component here. So we write component equals curly braces home, and we want it to be an exact path. And the exact path, it means that it will have to be exactly this path for the home component to show. And we close it like this. Then we're also going to build our individual movie component, and we want that one to show up with a path that is like this. I will explain this in a second. So what is this? This is a variable. We can name it anything we want, actually. We'll send in a value to this path later on by the link tag. I'll show you this in a second. And what this will do is, if we click on the movie, you can see we have the movie ID here. And this one, when we create this variable here, this is where we can grab the movie ID that we send in by a link. So this one here is called movie ID because we specify it here, and you have to do it with a colon before. That's the way we tell React Router that we want a variable in the path. And we want our movie component to show when we're at this specific path, and we also want it to be exact. And we close this one. Then we can also specify a special component when we can't find anything, if the user specifies a path that can't be found. So we will have to create a not found component, and we can create that one now. So we just specify it like this. If none of these routes match, it will show the component not found instead. So we save this one, we'll get an error now because we haven't created this one and we haven't imported them. In our elements folder, we create a new folder called not found. And in the not found folder, we create a new file called notfound.js. And this is going to be a really simple one, and you can actually create what you want here. I won't do any overkill component here for this one. So we import React from React. This is going to be a stateless functional component called notFound. Like this. We'll return just a div with an h1 tag. And whoops, this page doesn't exist, like so. And of course we have to do an export default so we can use it in our other components, not found, like this. Now if we go back to our app.js, we can import our not found component here. Import not found from ... elements not found and not found, like this. Of course, we also have to create and import our individual movie component. So we'll do that now. Import movie from ... movie and movie. And we go and create this one right away. So in our movie folder, we create a new file called movie.js. This one is going to be a class component. So we import React, and we also import component from React. We create a class component called movie. It extends component. We create a render method and a return statement. And for now, we're just returning a div with home in it. And we export default movie. Yeah, and it should of course say movie here. Like this. So we save this one. We can go to our app and see, yeah, we have an error actually. Of course, it should be like this instead. And there you have it. So it's working, and we're going to create our links now. So the app component is finished. We can just clean this one up like this and save it. And we're going to the header component to create our link for the logo. And how do we do this? Well, first we have to import link from React router DOM so we can use it in our component. And where do we want to put our link? We want to wrap our image tag or logo image tag with the link tag. So we create the link, and where do we want it to link? Well, you write to equals, and we want it to link to the root. So we just do a / like this. And then we create a closing tag for the link. And this is all you have to do actually with this link. So we save this one. We can go back to our component and see if it's working. Actually, we can't see if it's working because we haven't linked the movies yet. So we'll do that right away. We'll go into our movie thumb component, moviethumb.js, and we'll start creating a link there. And this one is going to be a little more advanced than the last link. I'll explain in a second. First, we import, just like before, link from React router DOM. And now we can use the link tag. For this one, we have a prop that is called clickable. So we can decide by the prop, setting it to true or false if we want the image to be clickable. So this is the first thing we have to do. We check the props, clickable. If it's true, we are going to render out the link. If it's not true, we will not set a link to it. So we make a colon, and we're just showing the image and not the link. So just copy and paste it there for now, and we close the ternary operator like this. So if it's clickable, we're going to create a link here now. So we create a new link tag to, and where do we want this to go? Well, this one is going to go, if we click a movie, you see, as I showed you before, we have the movie ID here. So the URL is going to be the base URL / and the movie ID. We create an object for this one. Here we have to have double curly braces because we're in JavaScript. We use curly braces, and then we have an object that we're creating. So it will be double curly braces. And we have a path name for this one. Make sure you make a backtick here. A / $, curly braces, and we're grabbing from props our movie ID because we want to send this with the link so it can show up in the URL up here when we click the movie. So this is what we're doing here. We're sending the movie ID with the link. It should be like this, and a backtick again. Then we also want to send in the movie name because we want to use this in the navigation later on. So we do a backtick again, $, curly braces, and we grab our props, movie name, and a backtick again to close this one. And we also close the link tag. And we also need to close the link with the closing tag, like so. And we can make it a little bit nicer by, whoops, not by doing that, by doing this, like so. So what are we doing here? We're creating a link, and we're sending the movie ID with the link, and we also send the movie name in a prop named movie name. If we go into our React developer tools, we can actually see these props. So we go down in the tree, switch, route, we click on our movie, and we have our movie component there. So if we look here in the props, in the location, we have the movie name, and it's working fine. If we look at the match and the params, we have the movie ID. So these ones we're going to grab later on in our movie component. We're getting the movie ID and the movie name for us to use later. So this is all we have to do with the browser router and to get our individual movie page working by clicking the thumbnail. So if we click the thumbnail, we'll get the ID of the movie here, and you see that our movie component is working because it's showing movie here as we wrote in the component. And if we click the logo, we go back to the home page, and we get a different ID here for each movie we click. We're good to go. In the next video, we start building our movie component. See you then.